At Verticon 2026, Robinson unveiled a new business unit. And if, like me, you hear the word business unit, your eyes glaze over, stick with me, because what Robinson Unmanned has planned is wild. If you're in an elevator and somebody's like, what you working on over at Robinson? Tell me, what is Robinson Unmanned, and also, why now?
Robinson Unmanned is the division that we're establishing that will take all the heritage that we've built over 53 years and allows it to take a whole new growth for unmanned small drones, unmanned big drones, to do really critical, dirty, dangerous, and dull work that today there aren't enough pilots to support all the growth in commerce and industry around us. Sometimes that's in agriculture, sometimes that's in cargo transport, critical courier work, organ transplant, a lot of businesses in the civil side, but then also defense. Defense, some of the most dangerous missions in Iraq and Afghanistan were resupplying forward bases with water, with fuel, with first aid. That sort of thing can be done with a remotely piloted or fully unmanned aircraft that's autonomously controlled by logistics. And so that's what we are bringing to market today with the Robinson TurbineTruck.
Can you talk about the elements that existed previously in the Robinson universe that have led to this moment?
Sure. So I think when you talk about fielding a product, people always think about the aircraft and the performance, but for us, the distribution, the service history, the parts manufacturing know-how, the scale, the ability to build hundreds and hundreds of every major end item in here each year has established a foundation that is really an unbeatable moat. All the competition that might consider doing something like this, they're trying to build the first of, and it's built for that purpose, but they have no heritage and there's no proven performance. So for us to come to market with something that we know the cost, we know the economics, we know the service, supply chain, distribution, how things can manage and repair and aftermarket capabilities, it's a huge advantage that really builds a foundation then that our customers can depend on. If they have an existing aviation fleet, they might have a mixed fleet where they have manned and unmanned working together. They share common blades, they share common drivetrain, common engines. Really significant advantages that just don't exist in other scenarios out there.
Can you talk about the scope of Robinson Unmanned? Because it goes very small to very large.
That's right. We've got the ones that publicly sort of shared and announced. Helios is a 249-gram nano UAV that is just an incredible little package of power. The Spirit's about 13.5 pounds. That's a really exciting one, featured now in the Drone Dominance program that the U.S. Army is competing actively as we speak. And the next level above that is the Spartan, which is about a 30-pound drone. Those are often used in longer endurance missions where they need to go upwards of an hour, much more capable from a big payload perspective too, so specialty cameras and onboard compute and things like that. And then you move up into the R44 family of products, the R44 Air Truck and R44 Spray Hawk. That's a cargo version and an agriculture spray version of the R44. Those are powered by our partner Rotor Technologies. So their Autonomy kit is embedded in that, and that's cameras and sensors and flight controls, software and servos and all that. And then upwards into the one over my shoulder, which is the R66 TurbineTruck. And this one is powered by Sikorsky Innovations. Their matrix technology is the brains and the ability to interface with a mixed fleet, for example. They've announced several products that are unmanned in their portfolio, like the Blackhawk, the U-Hawk that they have. And so this will benefit from all the knowledge and experience they have from that U-Hawk program.
Can we take a look at the TurbineTruck?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, number one, it does not look like any R66 I've ever seen.
Yes. Part of that is you don't need the instruments in the front, right? And you don't need windscreens at all. So the aircraft is built with a cargo mindset from the beginning, right? So you want to contain the cargo and protect it, but you don't necessarily need anything to look in or look out. And so the opportunity then for this to be both a streamlined shape for improved performance and give us the ability to have a larger enclosed volume is really important. So when you open it up, you'll see it has a couple things that are featured in it that I think are important. These large clamshell opening doors allow us to effectively move cargo in and out at a very ergonomic, easy to access way. This is a forkliftable or scissor liftable payload. This is actually a Marine Corps JMIC, so the standard box the Marine Corps uses to move a lot of their materials around the world. So that's just one of examples that can fit inside here. You can actually see there's a lot of space still above it, so you can fit bigger things than the JMIC in this box. But It's got a lot of things built into it that are for cargo tie down. So if you put something in and you need a strap, you've got rings on both sides that you can actually tie into. Underneath here are some pop-up latches, locks that allow you to anchor. These JMICs have a really unique locking system, and so it's compatible with what's underneath. It pops up an I-ring basically that allows it to then anchor in place. So for cargo, your biggest concern is that when you're moving stuff, that things move around. So good tie downs that are very, very sturdy and made of a lot of steel helps make things more dependable in flight and all that. So that's what you're looking at here. Is,
a completely standardized box, so this already integrates into the process of moving things around in a military context already. Also, that'll prevent dings, so that's nice.
Yep. Striker plates are important. And one of the things that's important too is this is generation 1, so we expect this is going to go through a rigorous testing, and there's actually, for this particular installation, the Marine Corps is interested in trying out various logistics steps. We go through the routine of load, unload, load, unload. And there'll be interesting feedback we get from that. Lots of things can come of that, but even just the way that we've got sort of non-wear, low friction sliders on here, and then rails that keep it boxed in so it guides clean. Those kinds of things are the design features that you would do at the beginning, and you'll evaluate whether there's more or different or improvements to it. But fundamentally, you can see how this turns into a really efficient, easy to access, quick load, quick unload type thing. So it may land at a site. You know, Marines or soldiers pull these things out, put them on the side, the aircraft just takes back off, or maybe they put some back in and they throw stuff, you know, back in the sky real fast. So,
and also loading from the front, very far away from any dangerous spinny parts, which is super cool.
That's right.
One question I have, what is capacity and any challenges with weight and balance?
Yeah, so the CG of the aircraft is definitely a thing that you have to manage in all aircraft. So one of the areas that we're going to evaluate is, are there different versions that are trimmed or ballasted differently? An exciting thing about unmanned versus manned is that the capability of the aircraft is greater than what we civil certify things for. So these aircraft actually are more capable than what the cert allows, partially because there's variability out in the civil world that isn't quite so variable in the defense world or in a highly regulated like oil and gas environment. And so 1,500 pounds of useful load, several hundred nautical miles or several hours of flight. Depending upon the mission, we also have in the 66, you probably are familiar, we have an extended range tank that can add an hour or 2 hours of additional flight. That will be available for this too. This also can have external loads. So that's one mission that will be evaluated is, do customers want contained volume like this, or do they want it slung from a hook? Either way can work. You can imagine like the relief missions that we saw during Hurricane Helene. There's a real need for quick movement of goods and water pallets and things like that. This can really help with those kinds of missions. So I could see the National Guard warnings, things like this.
Can we move around the side?
Sure, let's go look at the side door too.
I'm very familiar with like what an R66 looks from the side, but there's a couple of other nuances here.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting design that allows for us to have, while the front can be closed up and sort of, you know, the operating may require it to be closed up early. This can be a place where you can do a final visual check. You can also put more stuff in. There's some space behind, there's some space on the side. You can access things. And if you had a different set of cargo tie down straps, this is an easy and convenient way to load and unload. So you can see how this is another way to interact with the cargo bay that, you know, our legacy product all have, you know, side opening doors like a typical sedan. This upward facing one is intentionally so that you can get closer in, you can get access, and it's just an easier way to load from the side. These are intended to give utility for customers, you know, as they load and unload down the sort of the stream, you know.
And then you'd mentioned the range extension capabilities.
Exactly.
Is there anything different in the cargo
No,
area?
it's the same basic setup, but you can think, you know, in a lot of our like advanced mission aircraft, law enforcement and news gathering, the baggage bay is also used as partially a mission avionics bay. So there's going to be capability to put more things in here. So I could see a future, for example, one of our cool unlocks with Robinson Unmanned is you can have drones deployed from the baggage bay as part of a drone inside of a drone. So the ability to then, for one of the missions I'm watching very closely is counter UAS. So if you go to a large sporting event or a concert, today there is a worry, a very small worry, but it's growing, that there's bad guys with drones that could create havoc, right? So the idea is having aircraft like an R66 TurbineTruck flying around with the ability to situationally deploy counter UAS drones that can respond. That kind of thing is just a tool that needs to be in their toolbox, and now we can give it to them.
Which then the incorporation of ascent into the galaxy of stars in the Robinson universe.
The cylindrical shape of our Ascent coaxial drones that setup is so important for packaging and for deployability. It works in trucks, it works in boats, submarines. So it's a huge thing for us, and I think this is a good demonstration of that.
And then the other thing is, basically from here forward, there's a radical change from the traditional R66. From here backwards, is there anything that's unusual?
No, it's intentionally trying to keep the thing that customers always buy with the most intentionality is drivetrain, rotors, the control systems, all of that, and that doesn't change at all. So it has all that pedigree of over 1,500 Robinson 66s delivered in field, and so it gives you this confidence that you don't necessarily have if you were to buy just a big drone out in the world.
Yeah, so this isn't a one-off. This is very common, so keeping this thing flying is pretty dang easy because you make these parts right here in the factory, and you know how to do it, and you've been doing it for years.
Exactly. Big opportunity for scale, for predictability, you know. The first use case of this are interesting things like oil and gas, where today there are challenges getting individual, very small but highly critical parts out to oil rigs, long distances, over water. And today that's done through helicopters that oftentimes it's an emergency and it's a hurry and rush to get the oil rig back in operation. Hurrying is always challenging from a safety side, so it's a good thing for us to be able to have something that's readily available that can carry these types of small but extremely critical payloads that distance with no human risk, and I think that's one of the exciting missions for us.
From not that big a deal to extremely big deal. How big a deal is this?
Yeah, so in my mind, it could be bigger than all the other work we do because the need for unmanned logistics in civil and defense, it appears, you watch Amazon, the scale of Amazon, you watch all the packages we ship every day in our commercial world, but then defense, there's a real challenge of how you protect all that we've built in the world. And you don't want that necessarily using long convoys of soldiers and aviators and Marines and things that has put lots of lives at risk in the last wars we fought. And so it's important to help save those lives, prevent those risks in the future, to have a defense product that could help. But this product as a kind of what we're offering is a commercial floor, foundation that can be built on for any of these use cases. So we know our place is to build a truck. We build a great one here with the TurbineTruck.
The big takeaway is that Robinson Helicopter Company is still very much committed to manned flight, and as a pilot, I very much appreciate that. But for missions where it's safer, smarter, or more effective to use remotely piloted or autonomous aircraft, there is Robinson Unmanned.